Hello guys, I am Ramil Angelo El Silorio and today we are going to tackle about Lesson 19, Laws and Policies on Violence and Discrimination of the Members of LGBTQ. First, lesson objectives. Determine the various Philippine laws and policies for protection of rights of members of LGBTQ. Identify the different anti-discriminatory laws and policies, and note the acts leading to violations of these laws and policies. Definition of terms. Equal protection requires that all persons or things similarly situated should be treated alike, both as to the rights conferred and responsibilities imposed. Due process. Principle that the government must respect all of a person's legal rights, as this ensures that all laws and legal proceedings must be fair and equal for all. Introduction. The 1987 Constitution, Equal Protection and Due Process Clause. The 1987 Philippine Constitution states that the state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Apart from this, the 1987 Constitution enshrines in its due process and equal protection clause that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. Article 3, Section 1, 1987 Philippine Constitution. As the fundamental law of the land, the guarantees on equality, lawful processes, and the paramount consideration in ensuring human dignity and respect for human rights in this provision serves as the basis for the protection of the rights of members of the LGBTQ. Violence and discrimination. Despite widespread anecdotal evidence of crimes perpetrated against the LGBTQ community of the Philippines, most data on this case have not undergone official verification and collation. In March 2016, the Trans Murder Monitoring Project listed 41 reported cases of transgender people murdered in the country since 2008. The case of Jennifer Laude awakened members of LGBTQ of the violence and discrimination impending against them. This awareness and the opinions called out must be known to enable critical thinking and sharing of thoughts and ideas. Violence and discrimination against LGBTQ in youth in education. Anti-Bullying Act of 2013, Republic Act 10627. Anti-Bullying Act of 2013, Republic Act 10627 includes gender-based bullying as a prohibited and punishable act. Gender-based bullying defined as any acts that humiliates or excludes a person on the basis of perceived or actual sexual orientation and gender identity. Child Protection Policy 2012. In case where the bullying is committed by a principal, teacher, or any other school personnel, the law being violated is Department of Education Order Number 40 on Child Protection Policy. This policy includes the protection of students from any form of violence regardless of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act of 1992. Anti-Child Abuse Act or Public Act 7610. Parents of children who suffer abuse at the hands of teachers or members of the school administration violates RA 7610 or the Anti-Child Abuse Act. Such cases can cover instances of physical, psychological injury or cruelty on the basis of child sogi. Violence and discrimination against LGBTQ in the workplace. The Labor Code of the Philippines, PD 442. The Labor Code is the national law covering employment for the private sector in the Philippines, with the exception of prohibitions against discrimination of women. It does not contain any provision that prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity, particularly on the members of the LGBTQ. Nonetheless, while the law is quiet on gender identity and expression, it is clear in its Declaration of Policy, Article 3, that the state shall afford protection to labor, promote full employment, ensure equal work opportunities. Clearly, the mandate for equal opportunity in employment is clear, but the reality shows a different picture since members of the LGBTQ encounter hardship in accessing work opportunities because of discrimination. The absence of a national law and explicitly prohibits discrimination on the basis of gender identity makes it easier for employees to hide behind fabricated reasons for not accepting, firing, or depriving members of the LGBTQ of their employment benefits. Often policies on uniform, documents, and use of comfort rooms are used against the members of LGBTQ employees and even applicants. CSC number 010940, the Civil Service Commission's policy on anti-sexual harassment. The Civil Service Commission administrative disciplinary rules on sexual harassment cases includes other less grave, punishable offenses. These include prohibiting derogatory and degrading remarks or innuendos directed toward the member of one sex or one sexual orientation or used to describe a person. This rule applies to all government entities that fall under civil service jurisdiction. The policy is important because it explicitly covers derogatory remarks regarding sex, sexual orientation, or other remarks that are used as a description of a person with the intention to insult. In addition, this policy for government agencies does not require that the offender has moral ascendancy over the victim. The fact that the perpetrator and the victim are of the same level or position will not preclude a victim from filing a case. While gender identity is not specifically mentioned as ground, if a LGBTQ civil servant is harassed verbally by coworkers, they would be able to rely on the generic protection from derogatory and degrading remarks. Summary: the Philippines have various anti-discriminatory policies for the members of LGBTQ. However, these policies are not yet sufficient and the law on anti-discrimination is still wanted. Cases in the SC already involve topics and issues of LGBTQ, making this matter of high importance already. Nonetheless, the rampancy of discrimination of members of LGBTQ are prevalent, a huge issue that the Philippines must address. So that's all. Thank you.